In Episode 31, titled Review Risk Posture and Continuous Monitoring Insights, we link continuous monitoring to timely, defensible updates of overall risk posture. Monitoring is not a side channel. It is the cadence that keeps analysis aligned with reality as systems change and threats move. When monitoring feeds are organized and traced into decisions, leaders can adjust course without drama because evidence arrives in the same language as appetite and thresholds. The outcome we want is simple and practical, a review rhythm that turns fresh signals into calibrated changes in likelihood and impact, backed by artifacts that an auditor, a regulator, or a new executive can pick up and follow without translation. Scope is the first commitment because you cannot monitor everything at the same level or with the same urgency. Define coverage across assets, controls, threats, and business change with explicit boundaries and named owners. Assets include crown jewel applications, supporting platforms, data stores, and external dependencies. Controls include identity, segmentation, backup, detection, and response capabilities. Threats include technique families your environment invites. Business change includes releases, migrations, vendor swaps, and policy shifts. Assign each domain to a specific steward with a clear handoff to the risk function, so signals never drift in a queue without a home. Scope is not carved in stone. It is reviewed on a schedule and updated when strategies or architecture shift. Measures matter only if they predict or explain loss. So, establish key performance indicators, spelled KPIs on first mention and KPIs thereafter, and key risk indicators, spelled KRIs on first mention and KRIs thereafter, with calibrated thresholds tied to actual drivers. A KPI might track restore time from last known good backups under load. A KRI might track rate of privilege session anomalies per 1,000 active accounts. Anchor thresholds to observe distributions and business tolerances, not round numbers that look tidy in a slide. Write definitions so a new analyst would score them the same way using the same inputs, and publish the time window, data source, and owner with each metric. Vanity metrics, counts with no decision attached, are retired on site. Control health drifts in small, familiar ways, and those drifts move risk whether meetings acknowledge it or not. Track coverage gaps, failure rates, stale signatures, disabled sensors, expiring certificates, missed backup verifications, and exception backlogs. Express each degradation in the same likelihood or impact terms used in the register, not as abstract red dots. If multi-factor prompts fail for 3% of privileged logins, where segmentation rules are bypassed by newly opened ports, say how that shifts the probability of your high-consequence scenarios. Pair each exception with compensating measures and a review date, so accepted residual remains a live commitment rather than a parked hope. Cadence is the metronome. Set review cycles that match decision tempos, weekly operational huddles for hot indicators, monthly posture reviews for trend lines, and quarterly recalibrations that compare outcomes to appetite. Add out-of-cycle triggers that force immediate reassessment when hot signals arrive, such as active exploitation of a critical platform, a surge in token theft across your region, or failure of a safety-critical control. Document who can call an out-of-cycle review, what minimum evidence is required, and how temporary guardrails can be put in place while deeper work proceeds. When cadence and triggers are explicit, urgency is a property of the system, not a personality contest. Threat intelligence and attack surface insights should change your priors, or they are just wallpaper. Incorporate sector-relevant campaigns, proof-of-concept code releases, exploit pricing shifts, and provider advisories into the register by adjusting probabilities or exposure notes where evidence warrants. Fold external attack surface findings, newly exposed services, weak ciphers, stale subdomains into the same pipeline used for internal posture, so they are not tracked on an island. When a threat actor pivots to a technique your architecture makes easy, raise likelihood and show the control gaps that now matter most. When a hardening action lands, lower likelihood with the citation that proves it. The register should move as the outside world moves. Dashboards must tell a story that an analyst can act on immediately and a leader can endorse. Build a narrative that starts with appetite-linked thresholds, shows where current signals sit relative to those lines, and offers the decision at hand. Except for now, mitigate with a named control, transfer, or escalate. Keep panels tied to scenarios rather than to tools. Privileged identity misuse risk with its KPIs and KRIs beats identity tool page with toggles and charts. Include last change indicators so viewers see freshness at a glance, and annotate shifts with short notes that link to tickets or evidence. A dashboard that asks no question and suggests no action is a screensaver. Every posture change should carry an evidence trail that justifies treatment changes and budget asks. Tickets showing completed control work, screenshots of configuration states, test reports from red or purple team exercises, rescans proving versions moved, and logs of detection hits all belong in the folder attached to a risk's residual change. When you ask for budget extra seats for endpoint isolation, capacity for immutable backups, coverage for managed detection, you attach trends and the specific incidents or near misses avoided or contained as a result. Evidence first disarms skepticism and focuses debate on trade-offs, which is the right argument to have. Pitfalls recur, so call them out with repairs ready. Stale inventories make every downstream number suspect. Fix by wiring inventory freshness to change gates and refusing to onboard sources without ownership metadata. Undefined scales turn colors into politics. Fix by writing anchors with units and review dates. Unowned thresholds become dead letters. Fix by assigning stewards who are measured on keeping metrics fresh and thresholds calibrated. Overly wide scopes create an illusion of coverage. Fix by cutting to scenarios and crown jewels where false negatives hurt. A posture program that names its common failure modes and publishes countermeasures builds credibility fast. Consider a mini-scenario where a critical common vulnerabilities in exposures entry, spelled CVE on first mention and CVE thereafter, forces reprioritization. A new CVE affecting your edge load balancer ships with reliable remote code execution and active scanning observed by your provider. SIM shows a rise in unusual requests against that endpoint, while SBOM and CMDB confirm the affected versions in 2 regions. Out-of-cycle trigger fires. Risk likelihood for the gateway takeover scenario moves from low to high. Treatment becomes accelerated patching with a maintenance window tonight, plus a temporary web application firewall rule and rate limiting. After patch and functional tests, rescans confirm closure, detections quiet, and the register moves likelihood back down with citations. The posture update is finished the same day, and budget notes record the overtime cost and avoided exposure. A short review script helps keep rhythm in busy rooms. Start with the signals that crossed or approached thresholds during the period and state the thresholds in plain units. Name the scenarios they affect and the crown jewels implicated. State the recommended treatment choice for each and who owns the next action with a date. Close by listing any out-of-cycle reviewers to convene and any exceptions that now require renewal or closure. Keep the script tight, use the same words each time, and attach the evidence links in the invite. Familiar phrasing lowers friction and makes the program feel dependable. In conclusion, institute a monthly risk review ritual that is short, evidence-heavy, and connected to appetite, and pair it with the out-of-cycle triggers that pull leaders in when the picture changes quickly. Between now and the next cycle, update 3 high-impact risks with current signals, thresholds, and evidence. One tied to identity misuse on a crown jewel application, one tied to ransomware containment posture, and one tied to cloud control plane changes. Capture the residual moves with citations, verify the dashboards reflect the shifts, and refresh owners and due dates. When continuous monitoring feeds a living register and a steady review cadence, posture becomes a practical statement of where you stand and what you will do next, not a slogan on a slide. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit BareMetalCyber.com.